Welcome to week 3 of aviation law, where we are continuing to talk about FAA enforcement. For this week, we are going to take a break from our textbook and the workbook. I've selected 3 cases for you that you'll have the option to read. You'll pick one, but if you want to read all 3, that's fine too. If you're a pilot, I would encourage you to either read Administrator versus Sumler or Garvey versus NTSB. In Administrator versus Sumler, a pilot got in trouble for a very unusual low-altitude violation. Low-altitude flying is dangerous, and it's one of the FAA's favorite topics to enforce on, and I want you to make sure you understand that. But this case does a particularly good job explaining why it's a problem, and it's just an amusing situation. In Garvey versus NTSB, the FAA this is a very frustrating case. A pilot got in trouble for mistakenly reading back a wrong clearance that was actually meant for a different aircraft, and the FAA took a very harsh approach to this. I think you'll be fairly upset with the conclusion, but it's important law to understand. And finally, if you're a maintenance student, you might consider reading Administrator versus Hayes, which talks about a mechanic that wasn't careful in how he described work that he performed on an aircraft. His laziness led to ambiguity and landed him in front of the FAA. And if you're neither a pilot or a mechanic, then you can pick any one of the cases to read. I think you'll enjoy any of them. They're interesting, and it's important that you actually see what case law looks like, because these supplement the rules that we are learning in this course. Additionally, after you've read the case, I want you to summarize it for us. You can do that either by doing a written summary or by doing a short video like this one. Your video doesn't need to be perfect, mine certainly aren't, but whatever you're most comfortable with will work. I do want all of you to use a particular format for summarizing the cases, which is called the IRAC method, which is issue, rule, analysis, and conclusion. This is a method that law school students use, and it's particularly apt to summarizing and understanding case law. For issue, you will state the issue of the case. Why are we here? What's the problem? The rule, you'll explain what's the rule in the case. What did the pilot or mechanic do to violate a rule? What was the rule that was violated? In the analysis section, you'll explain why the issue ended up violating the rule or why the rule wasn't actually violated. So for example, in a low altitude flying situation, you'd explain why the act of low altitude flying in that particular instance actually violated or didn't violate the rule that prohibits low altitude flying. And then in the conclusion section, you'll conclude by saying what actually happened in the case. What did the judge decide? Was there a violation or was there not a violation? And if there was a violation, what was the penalty imposed? Was it a certificate suspension or revocation? Tell us what resulted from this case. And then finally, I'd like you to tell us whether you think the case ended fairly. Do you agree with what the judge said? Was the penalty imposed proportionate to the violation? Should there have been a violation if none was found? I'm curious what your thoughts are. As always, please feel free to work with other students to help you understand the material. Especially when reading case law, it can be helpful to bounce theories and ideas off of other students, just to help you think through the process. And if you still have questions, you're welcome to reach out to me via email or phone, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks.